Happy morning, parents. I hope I'm audible to everyone. I would like to say sorry for the inconvenience caused. There was some technical difficulty on our part to manage things. So, I, Uttara Mali from Soft Skill and Counseling Department, would like to welcome you all to the positive parenting session planned for all of you. Being a parent comes with its share of challenges and responsibilities. Positive parenting is all about showing children love, warmth, and kindness. To know more about this topic, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Sakshi Bhalgat, ma'am. Sakshi Bhalgat, ma'am, is a counseling psychologist and a PhD scholar at Flame University. She has worked as a school counselor post her master's degree for secondary section students. She actively aims at helping individuals from all walks of life through psychotherapeutic interventions. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite our subject expert, Sakshi ma'am, to take over and commence the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope I am audible and visible. Can I begin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So a very good morning to all the parents who have joined today. And we are very sorry for the delay and keeping you waiting. For those who have joined, I would like to welcome you all and extend a warmest greeting. I would be sharing my screen. May I know if this is visible? Uttara, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, great. So, a very good morning. And today we are going to be conducting a workshop on a topic called as positive parenting, which is building resilient and happy children. A very sweetest introduction was given for me. So, my name is Sakshi Bhalgat, and as mentioned, I am currently pursuing my PhD in psychology. I've completed my master's in counseling psychology in the year 2023. Later than that, I was working as a school counselor for the higher secondary students, parents, and their teachers. So, without a further ado, let's start with today's workshop. Before we begin, I have a little quiz for all the parents today here. There are three questions that you have to reflect on. There are, of course, no right or wrong answers. And it's not necessary for you to share the answers with me. It's something that you can just reflect for your own self. So the questions are, how many times did you compliment your child this week? And how do you usually respond when your child makes any mistakes? And maybe also, what is one of the things that your child has consistently asked you, but maybe you're finding it difficult to provide? I'd like to give you a few seconds here so that you can think and ponder upon it, and we can take it forward then. Uttara ma'am, is there any way I can ask the parents to maybe comment through chat box and I can view it here?
Yes, ma'am. We can allow the parents to comment through the chat box
Okay, wonderful. So
or also
whoever
the
would
question
like
and
to,
answer section.
okay, for all the parents who would like to share or interact, please feel free to drop in texts on the chat box and I will get your responses accordingly. So if you all have had a little time to reflect on, some of you may have felt that it was very easy for you to answer the questions, but some of you would have felt not really, it was a little difficult. And which is absolutely fine because that is what today's workshop is going to do for us. It is going to help us build a little more healthy and positive bond with our child. So before we begin into the main topic, I'd like to ask everybody if at any point we told our kids about stories of Santa Claus, and I'm pretty sure all of them believed in a Santa Claus. All of them believed that, yeah, there is somebody who would be coming down on 24th of December or 25th of December, and we will get a gift, right? Similarly, maybe we have also tried to threaten our kids that, if you don't eat your food, maybe police mama or police kaka will come and they'll take you or they'll punish you or they'll scold you, right? So we keep telling our kids few fictional things that they do truly believe in, correct? So if they believe in all of these fantasies, would they not believe when we tell our kids, why are you not behaving well? You are not a smart child. Why are you not performing well? Why are your grades not good? You are not a good organizer. You are not a clean child. You would keep your room messy. You will not listen to us. You are a difficult child, right? They believe in every single word that we say to them. And that is exactly the reason why positive parenting is the need of an hour right now. So before we even talk about positive parenting, I'd like to know from you all, what do you feel being a parent is, or what does it mean to be a parent? I would request you all to drop in texts through the chat box if you all can. And Uttara ma'am, if you could let me know the answers because I can't see a chat box on my screen as I'm presenting.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Do we have any messages, ma'am, or can I go on?
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute. I'm checking for the answers.
Yes.
So, Parag sir has answered. For the second part, what if the child did something wrong? If I tried to explain the repercussions politely, he wouldn't listen at all. A little scare, mostly words.
This is in context of what, if I may ask?
For the second part, second
Okay.
question.
What
Yes.
does it mean to be a parent? Okay.
Hmm.
And any other answers?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay. I would request for the question and answers to be at the end so that we can make it more interactive. So for now, to continue with, according to me, being a parent is being a caregiver, it's being a mentor, it's being a teacher, a friend, a nurturer, also a driver, manager, a planner maybe, definitely a solid leader, and as well as sometimes a follower, a listener, ATM machine, a cleaner, a chef, a doctor, a personal assistant, an entertainer. So, parenting is basically a full time 24/7 job which has only anger tantrums, maybe hate comments or emotional breakdowns from children in written, right? So there is no leaves, there is no casual paid leaves, unpaid leaves. It's a job that we have to do every second of our life since the time we know that we are going to be a parent. So, what do you think positive parenting would mean in the context of all of these roles that we are talking about? It is nothing but simply conducting all of these roles in a way that is a little better helpful for our child. Ways in which we are mindfully making sure that we are trying not to directly harm the mental health of a child. That is what positive psychology stands for. Positive psychology within parenting. So, by definition, positive psychology in parenting talks about showing children love, warmth, kindness whenever necessary. Of course, it is also important for us to understand that it does not deny the factor of putting discipline or the factor of also being a little strict, but it only emphasizes on putting the positive side in a little more highlighted way. It talks about fostering respect, communication, and guidance. And it focuses more on nurturing your child to become an independent individual than controlling their decision making, than controlling their life choices. It's basically more from, as it's visible on the PPT, it's more of guiding rather than dictating, right? So before we get into what can be done to be a parent who's positively communicating with a child, let's try to understand what is happening with our children at this stage in their life. So I believe your children would be from third to sixth grade. So maybe they are from an age range of maximum to minimum a 6 to, let's say, 11 or 12, right? So there is a theory which is formulated by Eric Erikson. He is a renowned psychologist that has tried to stage wise, like age range stage wise, try to understand what is that is socially and psychology happening to a child, and what are the psychological skills or personality traits that they imbibe within this journey. So if we look at the age range of 6 to 11, we know that the basic conflict right now in the minds of our children is industry versus inferiority. This is the time wherein children are faced with new academic as well as social demands, right? Their environment is changing. By the virtue of their age, they are including in much more social interactions than what they were right now. Academic wise, they are being pushed with a little more of critical thinking, analytical thinking, etc. But it is also important to understand that this is the age, the exact age when a child has started developing their self concept, their understanding of who they are. When our children are babies, for them, their identity is very closely attached to the identity of their parent. But now is the time that they start distinguishing between the two, and they start formulating an understanding of who they truly are, right? And what is that will make them understand what are their capacities, what are their strengths. It's us, and it's how we, teachers, counselors, parents, communicate with them. So major conflict in this particular stage is, if a child is going through successes in multiple or even in a particular field, it is going to lead to a development of a solid self concept, a higher self esteem. That will determine how confidently they do things when they are in their adolescence age, in their young adults, or when they take up their professional jobs. So that is how critical this particular age range is. So successes will lead to a sense of competence that they will feel about themselves, while failure results in feelings of inferiority. Now, we are not here to say that failures shouldn't happen. Of course, failures are definitely going to happen. But what we are trying to say here is how we reciprocate to the failures and how we reciprocate to successes will eventually determine what kind of self concept they are building for themselves. Do they think they are capable, or do they think they are maybe not as good as other people are, or as their peer circle is, right? So that is exactly the age range that we are talking about for now. So key milestones that the children are going through in this age range is that cognitively they are getting better at problem solving, and the curiosity in their mindsets are increased. So around approximately year range of 8 to 10 is when the children's prefrontal cortex, it is exactly here, right? It is responsible for all our critical thinking, decision making, uh, you know reasoning abilities. That's when it starts building. So cognitively they are getting better at problem solvings. On an emotional front, as I said, the self esteem is being formulated, and at the same time they are very very sensitive to criticism. That is the reason even a slightest negative, let's not say negative, but a unhealthy feedback from our end may topple their self esteem into making them believe I am worthless. That is how extreme it could get. And socially, of course, as you all might know, that now friendships start becoming the center of their lives. They get drawn to friends even more. They are influenced by their way of behaving. They are influenced by other people's liking. They will try to adapt what other friends of them are liking, so that they have a sense of belongingness in that particular friend circle, right? And the current needs that they have is love and acceptance, of course. They need to be valued for who they are and not just for their achievements. And when I say this, I also mean the choices that they want for themselves and not just the choices we want them to adapt as parents. So it is very critical for us as parents to understand that they may have different needs, they may have different choices of who they want to be. And it is very critical if we start accepting at this age, so that in their adulthood, the attachment styles they have with not just their family, but their friend circle, their peer circle, their colleagues is healthy enough. Right? They need safe boundaries, of course, when we say that. Rules help them feel secure, but definitely the rules need to be consistent. And when I say consistent, because I've seen with my nieces and nephews, we keep telling them, now you've grown up, so behave in a particular way. And in the next situation, we'll say, no, maybe you can't do this because you're a little younger and you have not grown up completely. So they get confused. Okay, last day you told me that I'm grown enough and I can do a certain thing the way I should be or I'm expected to be. And when I'm taking a decision for my own self, that's when I get a feedback. Okay, I'm still young enough. So how do I navigate through that? So it is very important for us to tell them what is acceptable in what range and at what time. So if the context is not there, it is going to lead to a lot of confusion in their minds. Autonomy, of course, they need to make small decisions for themselves. It does not mean very important or critical decisions of their entire life, but it could be maybe if you have asked them to clean their rooms, they can choose to say, maybe I do it on weekend, or I don't want to study for now, I go out and play, and once I'm back, is it okay if I play? So small decisions in their life that can help them tweak and feel that, okay, I can take care of my day or my schedule. And encouragement is what they need at the par, which is when we focus on their efforts more and not the results, they will keep their outcomes to be focused on the journey and not the outcome. When we tell our kids, you don't like to study, you don't study, you're not getting good grades. But if we focus on encouraging their attempts to study, that might make them more interested in studying per se and not just be curious or not just be extremely stressed about what is the outcome marks that they are going to get at the end of the paper. So, to summarize, in this particular critical age range that your kids are, the way you behave with them, the way you communicate with them, the way you make decisions for them, the way you manage conflicts, all of it is going to determine what kind of self esteem they are going to develop later as an adult, right? And all of these parenting styles that we there are multiple ways in which we communicate with our kids, but if we have to categorize them, it can be categorized in four very broad umbrella terms, right? The first one being authoritarian. Authoritarian parents are very, very highly demanding of their child. At the same time, they will not be responsive to the necessities or to the sensitivities of the child. So they will focus very highly on, for the kids to be obedient. If there are mistakes, there will be corporal punishments or harsh punishments or consequences that are given to the child. It is more of like a my way or highway of a parenting style wherein decisions are made for the kids, but the rationale behind the decisions are not communicated. Why is a particular thing chosen for them? How is it going to benefit them, or how it could have certain potential limitations or consequences to it? That is never communicated. The child does not have a space to express their own opinions. They only are expected to follow what has been told by the parent. So that is what authoritarian parenting style means. Whereas authoritative is a little similar. The demandingness from the parent is definitely there, but at the same time, there is a responsiveness to the child's sensitive needs. So if a particular decision is being made by us as a parent, there is a rationale behind which is communicated of, the reason behind we are asking you to do is this is how it will benefit you, this will how it will benefit us, this is the reason the decision fits well in the current situation. So there is a two-way communication happening and not just one way as in authoritarian. So in authoritative, even though despite there is a demandingness from a parent side, there is also a same time a space where the children can come up and express their opinions. They can express their feelings, or at the same time, they can also express if they are not liking a certain thing from their parent. It's a two-way, equal, mutual sort of a parenting style. Moving on to the other, permissive parenting is more of like focused on being a friend more than a parent, right? And permissive parenting styles is where the parents will keep the sole decision making on the kids itself. They are free to decide what they want to decide, and maybe the discipline aspect of parenting is a little lacking. So the students or the children have a free choice or a free will of deciding what they want to do. At what time would they want to do that? And there is no set rules or regulation that take place. Whereas the last one is uninvolved. It is basically when the parents are neither demanding of the child or nor are they responsive to the child's needs. It could also be that maybe the parent is absent for a long time in a child's life. It could be due to multiple reasons, whatever they may be. But both of the characteristics of core parenting styles, which is demandingness and the warmth that the parent provides, is missing. Now that we've learned a little more about the parenting styles, I want to open a question to all the audience. Which parenting style do you think is associated with positive parenting and why? It could be, I mean, wrong answers are completely fine. If it's more interactive, it will be helpful for me to also gauge what is the understanding that you are taking as an audience. So please feel free to use the chat box. Uttara ma'am, would you let me know of the answers?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. I'll let you know of the answers.
Okay.
No, ma'am. I have not received any answers.
Okay, so can we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So to answer the question, if we look at the authoritative parenting style, we can very firmly say that it has a higher tendency of putting positive outcomes in our students, in our children. Reason being, because there is a two-way communication wherein a parent is asking a certain thing, and at the same time, the child has a space of expressing their reluctance or expressing their disappointment or expressing what exactly is their feeling. Are they very happy with it? Are they very not happy with it? Is going to lead to students in or the children in feeling that, yes, I am equally important in this family. Yes, I have an equal opinion as my parents do. There is no hierarchy. Both the people are on an equal level, and the decision making is happening at two fronts. And research has also shown that authoritative parenting, which is high demandingness and at the same time very high responsiveness to the children's sensitive and critical needs, leads to students being highly motivated in later in their lives, a higher sense of self esteem, a more belief of yes, that I can do it. The capacity mindset is very optimistic and it's not very pessimistic. So authoritative parenting is more inclined towards the positive parenting that we are talking about. Moving on. Now that we know what exactly we mean by positive parenting, there would definitely be a question of how do you parent positively, right? So I'd like to say there is positive parenting is not a paradigm of set of instructions or guidelines or do's and don'ts. Positive parenting is only as simple as every second of life when we are trying to communicate with our child, how mindful are we that we are using a little more of positive connotation of communication with our child. So, positive parenting is drawn from the paradigm of positive psychology, which, as I mentioned, has focused on nurturing good behavior rather than punishing the bad behavior. So, in very, very simple terms, what it says is, if in case there is a certain behavior of a child that we are focusing on to change, for example, if they are greeting their elders with respect, if they are being generous, if they are being humble with them, this is definitely a behavior that as a parent we would want to enhance. So what this means is, instead of, for us, it's important to, encourage a particular behavior with a good feedback. The feedback can be anything. It could be a simple smile, it could be a hug, it could be maybe a greeting card, it could be something that the child really needs, a pen, pencil, or the toy that they are looking for, based on, of course, how convenient and how important you as parents feel that the demand has to be met, rather than punishing the bad behavior. For example, if there is a certain behavior that the child has portrayed at school, maybe your child has, hit another friend of his, or they have spoken ill of any teacher. This is definitely the behavior that we want to avoid, right? Instead of punishing the child, let's put them with the consequences of, okay, if you talk ill of about your teacher in front of the school or anywhere else, there is going to be a consequences that you are going to deal with. The consequences could be anything that they like, the lack of their liking. So if they like evening play, they like playing football, they like playing a board game, there could be a lack mentality. If they do it, there is going to be a lack in the number of times you play football in this particular field, in this particular week, rather than maybe punishing them or hitting them or shouting at them, or telling them that they are not a child with good manners, they are a difficult child, they are a child because of which you are called to school again and again, because of which your teachers keep complaining, because of which teachers question your parenting style, or they question, are you even available for your child? Instead of all of these comments being made, let's try that verbally in our communication we are not putting anything in our child's brain that they definitely will believe. As I said, if they believe a Santa Claus, they are going to believe every single word that comes from our mouth. So, positive parenting basically reinforces the idea that there are no good or bad kids. Every child is different and every child needs different things. It's just how mindful are we as parents in terms of dealing with these differences. There is a very famous psychiatrist, Alfred Adler, that has said that children will definitely act in healthy ways when they feel encouraged and appreciated. So, when parents or teachers find ways to foster these feelings, they'll naturally promote better behavior. And this is the better behavior that we talk about in terms of positive parenting. Let's not go into any sort of corporal punishments, but rather focus on how we are encouraging a child to either engage in a likely behavior or disengage from a unlikely behavior by putting reinforcements. This is the reinforcement when I say no football for next 1 week or no football for 2 days in this week, right? Instead of any direct, harsh, verbal or physical action. So what do parents who use positive techniques should do? Make expectations very clear. So in simple ways, when the child, for example, if we are in our workspace and there is a meeting, right, and there are many ambiguous expectations that are put to us on our from our boss, we definitely get confused, right? So if we adults are very capable of being confused, so is our child. Instead of using multiple sentences in a single go with harsh language, with a harsh body tone, it is always easier if we simplify our sentences, or writing it down is even better, and make it clear to our child. For example, today is a Sunday. I expect you to clean your room. Later on, we do what the plan of the family usually is. As simple as that, rather than even on a Sunday, you don't get up on time, you don't want to clean your room, you don't want to do your homework, you never listen to us. We are so busy, both the parents, or even if one parent is available at that time, we have multiple things to do. We go out for work, we come back, and we still see you not doing the things that you are expected to do properly. Instead of going in a verbatim where the child is being put in a critical place, let's make the expectations very clear and positive. I expect this from you. As I said earlier, being more consistent and reliable is what the child would more likely look forward from you as a parent. Keep showing affection, keep showing appreciation, even on small things, such as when they greet an elderly person with a smile in a garden while just walking, right? You can explain why that behavior is very likely, because um, there are times wherein kids are told things that they have to do. As simple as they are instructed to say thank you to their teachers when the teachers are done with taking their lecture. Or if a child has gone to a staff room and they have to come back and the work is done, they have to say thank you. But why? Why is a thank you needed? Why is there a sense of gratitude that they have to express? If that rationale is communicated, the child is more likely to engage in that behavior rather than just you have to say thank you or you have to respect your elders or your youngers. There is always a better way of explaining the decisions or the behaviors that are expected from them, which will make it more likely for them to engage in, right? Seek to understand the child. Many a times, what happens is, as counselors or as parents, we'll listen to our children so that we respond to them. We don't listen to them to hear them out, right? And there is two different things to this. While we are listening so that we can again just set them in a guideline or tell them what are they expected of, it is less likely that the child will come back to you and maybe express their feelings. Silence is sometimes very, very important. And as parents and as counselors, we feel that we are always entitled to provide advices to the kids. But sometimes there are no advices that they need. They only need a listening ear, and it's absolutely fine if we do that. Definitely, in case there is, if the child needs help, there could be a sense of communication that has gone through that. I understand that this is happening. If you need my help, let me know. If you are not sure what to do, let me know. Instead of us directly going into a solution sort of a pattern. Along with that, encourage curiosity, independence, and personal development. Let them explore the interests that they have. If they have are showing a potential interest in any artistic form, please do not shun them down by saying focus on your academics. Extracurriculars are equally important as academics are. Show interest in their interests. For example, if they say they like painting, take out time in a week so that you paint together, because that is how it will foster a positive connect. They will the feelings that they the peace, the happy mood that they feel while doing a certain activity will be associated with you as well. So it is definitely a good idea to take interests in our children's interests. So now, how to put positive parenting into action? What are the things that we can do? As I mentioned before, implementing positive parenting doesn't require any drastic change. It doesn't require us to change our personality completely, to change the way we communicate with our kids completely. It is only about making small adjustments in our life that can make our children feel more belonged. That will make our children feel more capable of themselves. As I've been focusing on putting positive reinforcements, so instead of constantly nagging, praise good behavior and effort. As simple as, whoa, you cleaned your room all by yourself, that's amazing. It's even as adults, we are very, very focused on having any sort of positive feedback in our lives, even if it's from parents at this age, even if it's from our employers, even if it's from our peer circle, right? A positive sense of self is only built when we listen positive things about ours from others. And especially when we are talking about this critical age range that our children belong to, even a slightest positive comment or even a slightest positive feedback is definitely going to make them believe and add on to that state of mind of capacity that they think they hold in themselves. So please keep reinforcing good and positive behaviors that the child reciprocate, use positive languages, use positive words. We could definitely, have a set of positive adjectives that we can tell our children, because sometimes when in our daily life it is very difficult for us to be mindful every single day of our lives, right? I understand, as parents you all will have 10,000 different things to look after, not just your kids but your work, the extended family, the relationship that the two parents have with each other. All of this is of critical importance, and sometimes in the chaos of our life it is very natural for us to react in a harsh way with our children, which is completely fine. We are not saying we have to be um, mindful 100 times from 100 times. Even if we are being able to do it 10 out of 100 times, we are definitely adding on at least 1% to the belief or the mindset that the child is developing at this age, right? Then using I statements can be very helpful instead of just putting blame on each other. As I said, put clear expectations. I feel frustrated when you leave your ties everywhere. Can we work this together out? Can we work towards a solution together? Can we perhaps do it together, right? Instead of, you will never keep your toys in place after you are done playing with them. Can we just like, I am very frustrated at this point and I expect you to do this. Again, a positive way in which it is communicated will definitely not make them feel, okay, I'm being targeted. Okay, my parent always keeps nagging me. My parent always thinks that I am not a good child or I'm not listening to them. It will be more of a mindset, let's do it together. That's going to foster a sense of belongingness, a sense wherein the child is definitely going to feel, I'm not targeted here, but I also know what is expected from me and I think I should do it. So that encourage problem solving. Even today, like, there are many times, even though I'm an adult now, I have my parents giving me direct solutions. And it is very natural for them because for them, they are the ones who have to take care or solve all the problems that I face in my life. And they will give me instant solutions. If this is the problem, solution one, solution two, solution three, solution four. This is what you can do. But there are times wherein, if the same solutions I can come to in my capacity, in whatever maturity, whatever experience, definitely the children are going to lack experience. But with the limited experience that they have about life, the limited understanding that they have about the world, let them sort out solutions for themselves. You can ask them, just don't think of one solution, think of multiple ways that you can do this. For example, it could be that they had a certain fight in their peer circle or their friend circle, and they don't know how to navigate. It is two different friends and they are stuck in between, and they don't know whose side to take. They are very conflicted. They like both the friends and they are not understanding. It takes a toll on their mental health. Try to make them realize, first, what are different things that they can do in this state to make themselves feel better, and what they can do to make the situation eased out. Instead of just saying, okay, maybe what you can do is call your friend A and tell that the friend B is wrong, and then they don't have to worry, or just apologize to each other or plan a movie. Let them decide what they want to do. This helps foster their critical ability, their reasoning ability, their analytical ability. Practice active listening. As I mentioned before, listen not to respond, but listen to understand. It's very important. Validate what the children are feeling. Many a times we don't, we forget that our children are children. If they are very preoccupied with a fight that they had with a friend, for us, it is very natural to feel it doesn't matter, it is not that important. Okay, academics is important, so don't focus on your friends. It is very natural for us to say that, but it is equally important for us to understand where our child is coming from. For our child, that friend circle is central to their lives. That is where they are deriving the happiness, the excitement, the positive energies from. Validate what they say, validate their feelings. Yes, I understand what you might be going through. Yes, I realize how it might be making you feel, how difficult it is for you. It is very important to do it, as this is the thing that is ultimately going to make our children feel, okay, my parent understands me. It's not just that they are pushing what they believe on me, but they're also trying to understand what I'm trying to say. Setting realistic expectations, of course, considering our child's age and developmental stage, it is very important that the rules and the regulations that we set are in sync based on the child's mental capacity, the child's physical capacity, the child's cognitive, emotional capacities. It's important to consider that and keep whatever rules and expectations we expect from the kids. The tenant to positive parenting is communication. I'm not sure if you've heard about this island. The island is called as Solomon Islands. The reference to this has been given in the movie Tare Zameen Par. So in on that island, the people do not believe in cutting down the trees. They feel that it's not because it's nature and they worship nature. It's a sin to cut a tree. The action of cutting a tree is a sin. So many a times what they do is they surround the tree and they start cursing each other, or they start cursing the tree, or they start talking in a very negative way with the tree. Now ideally this will feel very stupid, but the outcome of this is that the tree starts dying on its own, because that's the impact of wording, that's the impact of communication that it has on trees. So imagine if this is a tree, what would happen if the same thing is experienced by our child, wherein maybe the parents, the counselors, the teachers, or the school friends, or parents of their school friends, or friends anywhere else, are engaging in any verbatim that makes them feel that they are not a good human being, that they are not being a good person, they are not being a good child, they are not being a good student, etc., etc. It's going to take a toll on them at present, and the consequences of which will be faced by them for a very long future, even in their adulthood. So, communication is the key. Good communication, of course, builds good relationships. It is very important for us to keep all lines of communication open. There are definitely times where parents are very preoccupied with any priorities that they have in their life. Even in those times, it is very important for the child to know that they can always come and reach out to you. You may take some time to respond, that's definitely fine. We are not saying we have to be responsive to our child every second. The moment they call, we call them back and we, help them out with whatever they need. But it is important them for them to know that the communication channel is available 24/7 throughout the day. Of course, listen to your teenager. Try not to interpret. Sometimes we definitely project our own personalities on our children, or we project or we expect them to be the way we are, right? We will expect them to choose the choices that we want to make, but it is not the case. Let's not interpret. Let's ask if we are very unclear of what is going on. Instead of mind reading, it is always better that a open, healthy communication is taken place. It in life, the child also understands that if there is a certain dilemma and if it is communicated about, it is going to be more helpful than mind reading, right? Also, remember that communication is not just verbal, it is a lot to do with the body language also. Where many a times we do not um, focus on our body languages, right? We focus that communication, what is the verbal that is coming out of the mouth is the message that has been communicated. There are times we would maybe not say anything negative, but we may roll our eyes, or we may just put our body language in a way that makes the child feel disconnected. Um, Very small things that happen. So if maybe we are working on a laptop and the child is constantly nagging and they want a certain thing, with our body language, it is very natural for us to like just turn away from the child so that we are not facing face to face, like we are not in the direction as the child is, and we will turn and start working on a different direction. No matter how insignificant this action is, the way the child will feel is definitely very critical. The child is going to feel that you don't want to communicate with them, you don't want them around you. They are going to feel that there is a need for them to be away, and they will take it very seriously. Instead of this, we can just keep a laptop away for a minute. Try to get on to the child's level, wherein the two of you are on a similar level. Maybe get down on knees, or maybe pick the child and put them on your lap, or make them sit on the sofa. And communicate to them that you are very preoccupied with a certain work, a certain task. If you don't do it, you will have very bad consequences, and that you will get back to your child after an hour or after 2 hours, or whatever you think is a amount of time that you need for yourself. And it is especially important for us to focus on our body language when we are angry. The tone, the pitch, the level that our voice gets on can be very harsh, and we may not be very mindful about keeping that in check. So always know that in any sort of communication, the facial expression accounts for 55% of the message that is being communicated. The tone is 38% and the words are only 7%. So even when we say communicate positive, not just verbal, make sure our body language, our facial expression, our voice, all of them are a little more toned down in a way that the child will not take it in a it may not impact them in a bad way. Now, conflicts. As a school counselor, one very critical challenge that I faced was making sure that both the parents are on the same page. And it is very obvious, even in even as husband and wife, it is very fair that the two of you have completely different personalities, have completely different expectations from your child, from each other, right? But that takes a toll on the child. I have seen parents having two very distinct parenting styles, having very two distinct ways of communicating with the child, very distinct ways of making decisions, expecting from children. However, this confusion, especially when portrayed in front of the children, is going to never make them feel that belongingness, because the lack of a team is going to be very highly evident even in a family. It's very important for two parents, even if there is a disagreement, let's not do it in front of the child. Let's maybe go back to the room, get that done, and come back, right? But it's very important for both the parents to tell the child what is expected of them in a similar way. If there are two different things, the child is going to be confused. Who do I please? Who do I listen to? Okay, do I have a favorite? Do I like my mother better, or do I like my father better? Or I'd like to listen to my father because I think he's a fun person and he will, get me things, whatever I ask. But I won't do it for my mother. That's not fair. Always be on the same page with your children. It reduces conflicts. It will definitely reduce conflict between the two in the relationship that you have. Last, when we are talking about rules and regulations, positive parenting is not about hierarchy. Positive parenting is not about any authority. Positive parenting is all about you and your child are on a similar platform. Definitely, as parents, you are going to come with a higher, more enriched experience, more better understanding of the world, better understanding of right and wrong. That's obviously going to be there. But when we say it to our children, I am more experienced than you, I have seen life more than you don't understand. Let me decide this for you. They will not listen because they have themselves not agreed to why the decision is being made. And at the same time, when we communicate to them that they are not capable, they are going to believe they are not capable. And either two ways, they either go into a ego clash of, now I will make you feel, I will make the parent feel that I am capable and do things out of spite, or they are going to stick to the belief that yes, my parent thinks that I don't have that experience and I have chosen wrong things. Maybe this is not healthy for me. Maybe I listen to my parents, and they shun it down. But imagine the time when they are adult, and they're expected to be taking decisions for themselves. And they find it in a fix of, okay, for so long, maybe, my parents were deciding for me. Now, what do I decide for myself? Now, what do I do? Right? We don't want that. We don't want them to feel helpless when they're adults. It's very important that is the reason it is very important to negotiate the rules. Try to explain them what are the rules. Try to have an understanding of what is their opinion about those rules. How are they perceiving it? Are they liking it? Are they scared of it? Do they think that it is going to make their life, their schedule, their academic life, their social life, their extracurricular life a little better? Try to have these conversations. There should always be a give and take. There is no authority, there is no hierarchy. Two parties on an equal platform with an equal amount of give and take. Of course, few rules work better. Many rules, a very overwhelmed feeling is very likely for the child to feel, I can't manage this, I can't handle this, this is not something that I want to be in. So, few rules work the best. Again, emphasizing on the positive reinforcement. Praise when the rules are kept, praise or give a positive feedback when they are listening, adhering to all the rules and guidelines that you've set as a family in your household. Be clear about the consequences of breaking the rules. As I said in the previous example, no football for a week, right? Or no football for the next 2 days. Be very clear. They should have an understanding of if they engage in a particular behavior, what is the consequence going to be? And at the same time, consequences should be fair and realistic. It need not be something which is very, very unfair. If, for example, they have lost a book, the consequence need not be as harsh as something, uh, anything based on the child's liking. If they like, in this context, if they like football, no football for a week, right? It needs to be balanced, it needs to be fair. And it's also important for us to know that it is very important to renegotiate the rules as our child gets older. The child's likings, dislikings are going to be changing. The child's personality is going to be changing drastically. Positive parenting will always focus on renegotiating the rules as and when based on the child's need, and of course, as and when you parents feel is important enough. So, this is basically how a little more of positivity towards parenting can benefit the child in ways not just in present but in very long lasting years of their life as adolescents, as adults, in their workplace, the way they have their relationships with their friends, the family, etc., etc. So that is what I had from my side. I am very sorry. We had a delay and we had to rush through it a little more. But I would like to now open the floor for any questions if you all have. Uttara ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. We'll just give 2 minutes for the parents to note down the questions,
Yeah,
and then we'll start with the Q&A.
yeah, sure. I wanted to check if we can keep the Q&A for another 5 to 10 minutes. The rest of the questions, parents can definitely write an email to me, and if I can get back, if that is a good idea.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Definitely, we'll do that.
So can we take 2 or 3 questions for now?
Yes, ma'am. So, one of the questions that was asked was how to motivate or convey the kids to decide their priority and do their tasks proactively.
How to motivate and convey
Yes,
the children to
and
prioritize their
yes, and do the tasks proactively.
proactively. Okay. First, in this, now when the question came to me, I am sort of picturizing when in the context of this question, let's put the task, for example, as doing their homework, getting their of a day's task, doing their homework, going for their tuitions, coming back, maybe sports or any extracurricular activity that they have. So, in a day's time, when we are trying to ask our children to do multiple things and let them know that they have to prioritize it, the only thing that is going to motivate them is if it is given as a challenge, right? Um, I'm pretty sure if we are told and we are dumped with multiple things in one day, tuck, 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 and there are things that we don't like and we are still forced to do it. As adults, also, we feel Why am I stuck here? I don't want to be stuck here. Maybe this is not for me. Similarly, it is very natural for kids to feel the same. But if it is given as a challenge, for example, if as parents, you definitely would know that there is something that they are looking forward to buying. It could be a cycle, for example. Make it a challenge for next 2 months. These are the tasks that you have to do. Give them a choice. Out of the 5 tasks that they are expected, prioritize for yourself. If you feel that maybe you want to clean your room on a priority level, prioritize that. If you want to clean your if you want to go and meet your friends, or just play around in the society, it's on priority to do that. The outcome should be all the tasks need to be done. At the end of the day, maybe have a system of bank, star bank, or a lottery bank, or a smiley bank. A particular set of tasks done, the number of smiles put in a jar. Keep a limit to it. For example, 200 smileys will lead the child to have a particular thing that they are looking forward to, cycle or anything else. If the child everyday life is made gamified, or it is converted into a game, it's very natural, or it is very easy for them to have that excitement throughout the day. And it's also very important for us to keep in mind that the generation alpha that we are talking about, attention span of these kids is very, very low. It is very difficult for these kids to be engaged in something proactively with their full attention, with their full energy. There is a term called as Flynn effect, which says that as generations pass, the IQs of students are getting, like, the average IQs is going higher, on the higher end, and at the same time they are becoming more uh, hyperactive. The attention span is losing, and a lot of this is to do with the digital aspect of our life that we have started imbibing. We can't do about away from that, but it is very important for us to know the attention span of a child. If we force a child to study for an hour when their attention span is only for 20 minutes, they are not going to exhibit any sort of quality amount. Quantity will be seen, but quality will not be seen. So make sure that the tasks that they are do has certain breaks. 20 minutes study, 5 minutes go loiter around the house, drink water, or if there is a book that the child is going through, or if there is any music, if the child is interested, listen to a song, come back. Make sure the tasks are set on attention span level of your child, and it's not something that is completely forced upon. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. So we'll move on to the next question. Promises keep piling up but never get executed. About
Mhm.
cleaning, clearing toys, cupboards, about finishing homework by himself, but never happens. How do we make the child pick up minor responsibilities to begin with?
Okay. Um, I would, I'm not sure. I'm sure, like, there would be this conversation that you would have tried to have with your child of why is a certain thing not being followed when there was then when it was conveyed at multiple lengths, right? Understanding why a particular behavior is not exhibited from a child is also very important. I would suggest first try to get on to a very one-on-one equal level communication of, and also include touch. Many a times when we are angry, we forget that a sense of touch builds a feeling of togetherness, right? Maybe hold their hand, like take the hand, and maybe ask, what is wrong? What is happening? Why do you not like doing a certain thing? Why do you not engage in a particular behavior that is expected of, right? And it is very natural for our children to do everything that we don't ask them to, and not do anything that we ask them to, right? It's every parent will have this complaint, I'm definitely sure. As a school counselor as well, I have faced this so often. One thing that can be done in this case is a communication. Second, clearing boundaries. That Three times a particular thing will be conveyed to a child. If it is goes beyond the third level, there are certain consequences that the child will have to face. It could be anything of the child's liking. For example, if there is maybe if your child is into sports and they're good at it and they really look forward in their entire day to engage in a particular sport, tell them if the action is not committed within the three times, there is going to be a consequence of them not being allowed to play that particular sport. Maintain a visual chart. Visually, children have different learning styles. It's not just auditory, right? As parents, we communicate verbally. So it's only auditory input. Maintain maybe a visual chart of, the room was asked to be cleaned number one time, it was not. Number two, it was not. Number three, it was not. Let the child see that they are not following what they are expected to follow. Similarly, if possible, try to do those activities with the child together. Let's clean the room. As you said, right? The promises are said, but they're never committed, they're never completed. Do it together. Do it once, do it twice, then start the letting the child do it independently on their own. So there are these few things that can be done. Include different learning aids. As I said, not just visual, not just auditory. We can add visual to it. We can add kinesthetic to it. Like for example, as I said, do things together. Doing and learning, or visual board, wherein they are able to see on a everyday basis that they are falling short of expectations that they were supposed to commit. So maybe that would help. I hope I have
Thank you,
answered your
ma'am.
question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for the answer. Your answer was very precise and enlightening. We'll move on to the next question. What to do as a parent if one of child's classmate is frequently pinpointing my child and telling everyone not to speak with him and taking
Ah.
his friend away by doing something. Because of this, my child is feeling lonely. Kindly
Hmm.
guide us through this.
Definitely. It is a very critical situation, and I have seen this happening very often. Uh, Bullying in class, pinpointing, targeting, or sidelining a particular child is very, very common. And if your child is the one who's a victim part of it, my number one, so I mean, I'm sure you might have tried, or if you have not, my number one go to will be contact the class teacher on the priority basis. It's very important for the teachers to know what is happening. Please get in touch with your school counselors. They definitely have a lot many better ways of dealing anything that happens within a school. There are certain rules and regulations that they know better, and they know the framework in which a school operates. Get in touch with the school counselors. They are the best help for your child at that point. Even if the school counselors suggest individual sessions with the child, it is completely fine. Please accept the fact that our child may require any help. It need not be that they are not functioning at a level that they are expected to, or there is something wrong with them. Definitely not. There will be a lot of assertiveness activities that the school counselor can take. There are a lot of social building activities, saying no, anti-bullying activities that the counselors can conduct within the school, within the class, within the designated circle that it is happening to. Confidence building can also be done. Despite of whatever bullying is happening, the child should have that confidence of coming up and saying to that other child, listen, this is not fair. I think this is not being the right thing that you're doing as a classmate, and I am going to go and complain it to my teacher. So please get in touch with your school counselors. They are the best help that you will get.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So we'll move on to the next question. If a parent is not in control of himself and during a discussion between parent and child, it turns into an argument, what we should do?
Mm.
And also, if sometimes one of the parents is emotionally weak, so how
Hmm.
the parent can make better decisions in that moment?
Okay. Can you repeat the question for me, ma'am?
Yes. So if the parent is not in control of himself or herself, and during a discussion discussion, the during a discussion between parent and child, it turns into an argument. So what should we
Hmm.
do then? And also, if one of the parent is emotionally weak,
Emotional. Hmm.
then
Hmm.
how can the parent make better decisions?
Right. Here, I would like to answer the question on two fronts. One, emotions are emotions. There is nothing as weak emotions or strong emotions. So, there is nothing called as emotionally strong or emotionally weak. It's only about how intensely people feel their emotions, right? There are some people who will feel their emotions and take their emotions very seriously than the ones who will not. It has nothing to do with the strength that we have in ourselves as our personality. So first that. So as a parent or as an individual, if you feel that you are not being able to manage your emotions, there are definitely ways that can be incorporated. It has nothing to do with your strength, or let's not label it as emotionally weak. When it comes to our children, and nothing to do with emotionally strong or weak. It could happen with any parent, no matter how mentally strong they are, no matter how in composed position they are as a personality. There are disputes that are bound to happen. There are conflicts that are bound to happen. Two things are very, very important to communicate as a parent. We'd never do, or as a child, I would never do with my parent also. Two things, one being feeling, and the second being intention. Whatever that conflict is, whatever that dispute is going, how is that making you feel as a parent? And second, what is your intention of saying what you're saying, right? We will just try to fight on proving our point, or we will just be angry at why our kid is not listening to us, or why does the kid have different opinions that we have. We focus very heavily on this, and our natural angry self will make us just stretch all the things. It's very important. Sit back, no matter what emotion it is. Take a 2 minute for yourself. Keep some buffer time in the place. Maybe if you have your separate rooms, the child, and you have your separate rooms, have a buffer time. Just go back to the rooms, 5 minutes. Nobody speak to anybody. It could be whatever amount of time that is suitable for you and your parent. Don't engage in any communication. As I said, if your child is learns better visually and auditorily, write notes. Don't just say it. Maybe drop texts or maybe give greeting cards, right? Always convey the 2 points. One is your feeling, what you're feeling at that point, and what was your intention of saying what you were saying. Just two. It will definitely help, at least for the two parties, to calm down and speak or communicate in a little neutral way than the way when the emotions are on our verge and we are completely taken over by whatever we are feeling and whatever we want to convey. So that. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So we'll move on to one last question and I'll mail you the
Sure.
other questions.
Sure.
So my child gets easily distracted by decisions taken by his friends. He cannot
Hmm.
take decisions of on his own.
Hmm. What can be done in this case?
Yes, what can
Okay.
be done?
Hmm. Can I know what age is your child?
Ma'am, the age is not mentioned here, but third to fifth standard, I think it
Okay.
is from third
Okay.
to fifth. Yes.
Okay. Okay. In this case, there are a lot of observational activities that we can conduct. It could be as simple as, if the two set of parents, the father and the mother, are both available, there could be a conversation that you could do with your child. You can make the child sit and you can ask the child to describe the two of you. And there is definitely going to be differences in the ways that the child describes you. And there are going to be some similarities as well. Then there can go an explanation of two people are very different. Your father is very different, your mother is very different, right? Can one thing or one decision, give an example? The example could be anything. Fit well for both the parent. Or do you think there is a necessity for two different things to be done by both the parents? This is only to make the child understand, and this can be connected that with that you are a different personality than your friends. Then you can ask them to describe their friends, his friends in 5 words and himself in 5 words. There are going to be some similarities, there are going to be some differences. If the child likes to draw, ask them to draw their friend and ask him to draw themselves. They will understand that there are differences in the way they dress, the differences in which likings they have, colors, favorite colors could be different, favorite uh, like eating or outing places are going to be different. And making that understanding of is one fit solution for everybody, or is there a one rule? So making the child understand that there are going to be times wherein you will be distracted with the decisions that your friend takes, and sometimes it's fine, it could be right as well. But the child has to start developing a understanding of when the same decision or the same things, if the child portrays, is not going to be healthy for him, because it's two different personalities, it's two different lives, it's two different families, two different set of parents. And how at that point the child has to learn to think, instead of not modeling what the other friend is doing, instead what is more suitable for me or what is more doable for me. Once they start realizing that, maybe eventually this can be a start. Any behavior modification, any behavior change, and this is for all parents, not just for somebody who's asked me a question right now. Any behavioral change is going to take a lot of time. It is not going to be one time we do it and the next time we are going to see improvements. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could take a year, based on child, there are multiple factors that are accounted for it. Patience is the solution. Reinforcing that behavior again and again is the solution. Not giving up is the solution, and trying to get our child around what we are saying is the solution. So it is going to take time. Even when I do individual psychotherapy sessions, I tell my clients that the only thing that is going to lead to a change is your own efforts. Choose that you want to change a particular thing about yourself, and that is definitely going to make you feel a little better. And in our case, it's not the kids that decide that they want to change a certain thing, it's parents who decide for the kids that they need to change a particular thing. So imagine how much long is it going to take, because that till the time that willingness is not expressed by the child itself, the readiness is not there, know that it is going to take a lot of time, and the time is fine. We are not in a rush, we are not in a rat race, we don't want to say that our child should start doing a certain thing that we are expecting day one. It's okay, we have plenty of time, the child has plenty of time. They will learn, they will unlearn, and they will relearn at their own pace. Let's give them their pace. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Sakshi ma'am. Yes,
Maybe for the parents,
yes.
it is completely fine if you ask questions to me directly. Uttara ma'am, I'm not sure. Please let me know if my email address can be handed over to the parents. If they want to send or talk to me anonymously without any channel through, even that is fine with me. Please, maybe you can ask your counseling team, school counseling team, if that can be done. I'm very happy to receive any questions. I'm very happy to interact with any parents and help them from whatever I know and whatever I can.
Yes, surely, Sakshi ma'am. Actually, some parents have asked for your contact details or your email ID. So if you're
Yes,
okay with it, we can share it with the parents.
definitely. Definitely.
Yes.
Can I add it on the PPT here, or should I send it to you and you can forward it to them?
Yes, we are typing it in the chat box, so whoever wants
Perfect.
to reach out can do so.
Perfect. Wonderful. And I am a very heartfelt thank you for all of you to be so patient and listen to me patiently. I'm very sorry we had a delay and we had to rush through. I would be more than happy to interact with you all on a face-to-face basis. We sort of changed the format of the presentation last moment. But otherwise, we have a lot of fun activities on the same positive parenting topic, very hands-on experience. I would be very happy to conduct it for you. I would request the counseling team as well, if we can do it in near future, next semester. I'd be very happy to interact with the parents face to face, one-on-one.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. We will plan an offline session wherein the parents can engage with you. So
Definitely.
again, a big thank you to Sakshi ma'am. And as you rightly said in the beginning, that parenting is a full-time job, and we are all trying to do our best for the children. Unlike a real job, there is no formal training. It does not come with a
Yeah.
manual, and each day, each minute, we face a new and unique situation. So I hope from this session, all our parents have understood how to connect positively with their children, how to set boundaries, and at the end of the day, be the best role models for our children. So a big thank you to you. A big thank you to our audience, the parents, for being present in such large numbers and cooperating us with us when we were facing technical issues. And thank you to our technical team as well for the back end support. So yeah, with this, I feel that we can conclude with our session, and we will share your details across with the parents as well.
Definitely.
Yes, and we will also share the questions across so that you
Yes.
can give
On
us
the
your
email, I
answers
can
and we'll share.
respond.
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely. Recording. Yes. Also, a note to the parents: the recording will be available in the chat. So if anyone has missed any section or segment of the session, they can attend it, and we will also be sharing it across the groups as well. Yes, and we will also be sharing a feedback link about the session. So if you have any suggestions, or if there is anything that you liked, or if you want to suggest any other topics for sessions as well, you can do so through that link. Yeah. So thank you, and everyone have a good day.
Thank you.